Today we're going inside a high school in the Bedouin community of southern Israel. And we're going to look at an educational project with some truly staggering results. It's a story all about what happens when you completely flip the script on how we teach.
You know, this whole thing really kicks off with a single, powerful image. It gets right to the heart of what this project was all about, giving students a voice for their most raw and personal experiences.
So look at this. This is a poster made by one of the students, and the words are just chilling. I am afraid of the sky when missiles fly. Today I choose peace. This is my story. Wow, it's incredibly direct and just deeply powerful.
Right, so that's the big question here. How do you get to this point? How does a regular school assignment lead to something so honest, so raw? Well, to really understand how revolutionary this was, we first have to understand the world these students are coming from.
See, that classroom doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It's part of a much larger reality, one that is filled with challenges that shape every single day for these students.
A lot of these kids come from what are called unrecognized villages, and that's pretty much what it sounds like. Communities living completely off the official grid. Just try to imagine your daily life with unreliable electricity, really bad internet, and unpaved roads. In an environment like that, just getting an education is a constant uphill battle.
And then you step inside the school, and you see the old system was built on everything you see there on the left. Memorization. Be passive. Your brain is basically treated like a bucket that just needs to be filled with facts. But then, this totally new idea was brought in, the one on the right. Think freely, create new worlds, and maybe the most important one, tell your own story. We are talking about a complete 180-degree turn here.
So, who was behind such a radical idea? In an environment with so many challenges, who would even think to plant this kind of seed? Well, let's meet the people who made it all happen.
So this project was sparked by Dr. Ellen Baralim and an association called Husanek Latid. And get this, that name actually translates to Leap to the Future, which just perfectly describes their mission, right? It's all about giving these students the tools and, just as important, the confidence to embrace technology and aim for a better future.
And their philosophy was just fascinating. This wasn't some rigid, by-the-book plan with a predictable outcome. Not at all. The goal was way simpler. Just plant a seed of an idea, and then trust the students to grow it into something that no one, not even the teachers, could have possibly predicted.
But here's the thing. The biggest hurdle they faced wasn't technology. It wasn't a lack of resources. It was a psychological barrier, one that had been built up inside the students' own minds over years and years.
You can really see their journey unfold in 3 stages. It started with this deep-seated disbelief. Like, wait, you want us to do what? Then, slowly, with a lot of encouragement, trust started to form. And once that trust was finally there, boom, a creative explosion.
This quote really gets to the heart of that first step. When students were first given the freedom to think for themselves, they literally didn't believe they were allowed to. I mean, can you imagine? After years of being told what to think, creative freedom probably felt like breaking a rule.
So, what happens when you finally break through that barrier? Once the students felt that trust, what did they actually create? Well, the results were just profound.
Instead of picking some distant, academic topic, they turned the lens inward. They chose to build virtual museums all about their own lives, their own communities, their own reality. And they documented everything with a raw and completely unflinching honesty.
Take this comic strip from a student named Yara. She isn't just drawing a cartoon. She's documenting a reality that directly impacts her future. For Yara, a power cut isn't just an inconvenience. No way. It could be the very reason she fails an important exam. It's a powerful look at how these big infrastructure problems become deeply personal struggles.
And look at this one. This exhibit takes a big policy issue and turns it into a personal story of self-reliance. As the student wrote, their community uses a solar power system we set up ourselves, and then they add that crucial detail, not one provided by the state. It's such a stark reminder of the daily challenge to get something as basic as electricity.
This piece, from a student named Khadija, is just heartbreakingly powerful. She framed her experience as a newspaper article, writing, "Our studies stopped and the shape of our lives changed." When these students were given a voice, they didn't shy away from anything, not even the most difficult topics.
So you see, this was never just a school project. It was about using education as a tool to actually change the future, to start breaking down some very real-world barriers.
And that's the real power of this whole thing. These virtual museums became a tool for smashing a real-world glass ceiling. By telling their own stories, these students weren't just completing an assignment, they were proving to themselves and to the world that their voices matter.
All of this really leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? What happens when we shift our entire approach to education, away from just passive learning and towards active storytelling?
The answer is simple, and it's so profound. You don't just create better students. You empower human beings to go out there and define their own futures.
And it just makes you wonder, what other amazing potential is sitting there, waiting in classrooms everywhere, if we just give every single student the trust and the tools to tell their own story?